Hey guys, Hastings here and welcome to Rapid Racing episode 6, where this week I hope to not get D-class again because I've had that twice before in a row and it's really rather boring, so I went for something really quick the second time and there's no surprise there. So yeah, if I do get D-class again I will probably end up building something just ridiculously bonkers and just because, really. So let's get straight into it. I've got the filters up and I'm about to do the spinner. Let's see what it gives us this week. Spinning round, it takes quite a while. What's it going to give us? It's moving round, don't you dare. Okay, that was really close to D class then. But we have got R class, which is quite a bit, is the highest class we've had so far. So I'm going to start the timer now. Wait, that didn't work. Now. And let's get into it. I'm thinking that this could be quite tricky. Could I just buy that and then be done with it? I already have one of those. I like to buy new cars that I haven't driven before, but I don't really know what I'm going to use. Apparently I have quite a lot of these. I could go for a Pagani. That would be very expensive, but quite cool. Ooh, I could go for a Viper. That'd be quite nice. There isn't a huge amount of choice here. If I can maybe get a high-end A-class, that maybe works? There we go. There we go. Maybe not actually. Let's go back up into here. There aren't quite so many cars up this high end on this game. The race cars really won't give me much room for upgrades at all. Nearly used a minute of time already. I don't know what to use. I don't particularly like racing with cars this high up. I'm thinking I'm going to go for one of the Paganis. I think I'm going to go for that one. I don't know why, but let's go for this one. The what is it called? The Clinique? Cinque? The Roadster. I'm going to call it the Roadster. And as per usual, I'll go and stick my paint on during the gap. So that's our car bought. Let's go and get on into the build, which I will speed up for you guys, and I will catch up with you very shortly. Okay, let's talk you through this build that I did earlier. I hope that I can actually remember what it was that I did. Probably should have done this slightly sooner after doing the build, but we'll see how it goes. That is going very quickly, going for the standard race tyres with max widths to give me that optimum grip as well as the front aero. Going into the handling parts, lowering it down, sticking on the anti-roll bars, sticking in the weight reduction, pretty standard stuff. That takes me just over the limit for the PI for this class. So I'm going to look around, see if there's anything that will take it down. I stick the race diff on because that doesn't make any difference. I have a look at putting the roll cage in, and the roll cage actually takes it down one while improving my braking. So I figured, no brainer really, let's do that. I was having a look to see if there's anything else that we could put on without increasing the PI, and we settle on a sports transmission. But that was pretty much it, I believe. So I'm now going to go and have a look at the tuning, because that's always a good idea with me, definitely. The only significant thing that I really did was turn up the rear aero. I'm just having a look again there at power, but I'll hand over to myself. Okay guys, I've got almost exactly 1 minute left and I'm going to leave it there because I've finished my build. I've even managed to do a little bit of tuning. So I'm going to go and paint the car, and I again will catch up with you for some more post commentary for the races. See you then. The first race would take us to the Road Atlanta Club circuit. I was initially kind of against going here because I figured in such fast cars it might be a bit small. It's a very sort of small circular track, but I can't actually remember where I started on the grid. I can't see me either. Oh, there I am. Typical. Pretty near the back. But I was pretty sure that there was going to be a crash into the first corner, so I didn't mind sort of hanging back and letting that happen in front of me. Typical online race, and look at that. Big crash at the first corner. I must be psychic. Definitely. That's honest. Yeah, totally. Psychic. Anyway, we got past the first corner and there was another incident, which means we've gained quite a few positions. I actually had to take it to the grass, and it got a bit sideways and jibby, and there's another crash and lots of crap going on while I'm trying to just get my car around the track. So we've actually gained up quite a few positions. As you can see, we're in 3rd place there, all pretty much due to people crashing. Typical online lobby fun, as per usual. The Aston Martin in front of us wasn't particularly quick. Fortunately for us, it actually goes very, very wide out of that corner. There's a ghost there of somebody that didn't start, and that's kind of annoying to see on the replay. But I didn't see it in race, so I don't know why it loads in the replays. But we'll just have to deal with it. The guy in first, you might have seen at the top of the hill there, absolutely buggered off into the distance. So I am currently holding on to 2nd position. But how long will that last with not 1 but 2 Aston Martin race cars chasing me down? These were very popular at our class. There was quite a lot of them. I did actually joke about it in the beginning of the video. Just buy one of them and be done with it. Starting to think that would have been a good idea because these were very quick. The one that's in 1st position completely disappeared into the distance, and I'm defending my arse off trying to keep these guys behind. They dipped a wheel on the grass, trying to do everything they can to make it past me. I take quite a defensive line going into there because I know they're so much better around the corners. The only thing that I really have on them is the straight line speed. And this track, and that's only at top end as well. The initial acceleration is pretty even. And this track, maybe down the end of this start-finish straight, and maybe down going into the chicane, but there's no real places that really offer me an advantage using superior straight line speed. I actually got quite wide through there, which allowed the Aston to maybe have a look at going past, and takes to the grass to get past me, which is slightly annoying, but it is a difficult chicane to get right at the top of that hill, so I'll just take that and grin and bear it. I've got the other one right up behind me, but not for very long. It's not much easier to defend from 2 than 1 by the looks of things, as I just simply run wide and allow the Aston to go up the inside. Using my straight line speed, I do manage to throw it up the inside, but I run slightly wide in the second part, and there's some sort of Forza Force sticky stuff that slowed me right down in the inside of that corner, which was very annoying. A few laps later though, there were some online trolls causing accidents. They were the red, I think it's an Audi R8, is a lap down, and twice took out the black Aston that was ahead of us. Not the one that you can see on screen now. That is another car that is a lap down and just trying to crash out the leaders. I've actually gained a place here because the guy in 3rd got taken out, so I'm up into 3rd now. But as I try and go past the lapped car, he cuts across me and knocks me onto the grass. Fortunately, I do manage to go for some grass cutting there, very low front end. Fortunately though, I don't spin out or anything, and I managed to regain myself pretty comfortably and get back on track. Also fortunately for me, he was having a very tough time controlling his car, and went very wide round the long corner, and I managed to shoot up the inside and get past him without too much of an issue. Coming down onto the last lap now, you can just about see the guy ahead of me in the distance, and the online troll is still right behind me. It's kind of weird when you see them. The troll's still really close to me. It's like, surely if you're that quick, you wouldn't have to be a lap down. But it's annoying anyway. But actually, I have kind of got the trolls to thank for this 3rd place, which I've come home to finish in. The second race would take us to the Indianapolis GP circuit, and once again we'd start relatively close to the back of the grid. Not right at the back, actually it's almost kind of more like the middle. Yeah, the smoke was kind of covering up people. If anything, I'm about in the middle of the grid. There was a collision along the start line. I've no idea what happened, but I'll take the positions, so thank you very much. I think there was another one there as well, so I'll take even more positions. And this race, there was a fellow Pagani Zonda Roadster C, whatever that stands for, because I can't pronounce it. And coming out of the first few corners, I've actually managed to take the lead of the race. The Martini Racing Aston Martin was fighting me for it though, and now is probably a very good time to mention, while he's around my outside, that visibility in this car was terrible. You see me there giving him far too much room, cutting the grass to do so. Basically, there's no rear view mirror because there's no rear windscreen. There's just nowhere to see out the back of the car. And you can't look across the car to see the other wing mirror either, because there's a pole in the way. which means I've got one mirror on the car. Sorry about my phone going off there twice. I'll turn that off. That's not very professional of me, is it? So yeah, there's basically no visibility in this car, which, well, there's no rear visibility. Going forwards, it's much like any other car, it's pretty standard. And coming onto long straight now, I really could use my straight line speed, and I really like this overtake. I just tucked into his slipstream going around the curve and came out onto the outside of the track and floored it past him across the straight line, start-finish straight line thing. Kind of mixed up the words there, didn't I? This isn't going very well as a commentary, is it, for this second race? Fortunately, I am doing them separately this week, so if I do decide to change it and do it again, I'll have a different... I won't have as much to redo. But I don't like doing that. I do like to do my initial impressions. I think it's later on in this second lap that the Aston Martin Martini Racing would take a look up the inside. And because he's on the right-hand side of me there, I can't see a tool where he is. And unfortunately, we both take to the grass on opposite sides of the track because of the collision that was caused. It was probably my fault because I rubbed up against him. But like I said, you can't see bugger all in this car to the right or to the back. So we'll just call it a racing incident and move on. I've just noticed that amongst all that, we actually cut to the last lap, and this is now me coming across the line to finish the race in first position because literally nothing else happened in the race, so there was no other highlights to show. The third and final race would take us to the Nordschleife. Always fun going to the ring. I'm not a big fan of the Nürburgring. Oh, I've just kicked something. That's not great, is it? Yeah, I've been here a few times before, and I'm actually starting at the back of the grid, and I stalled it off the line. It didn't happen in the first two races. I don't know really what happened there. But there was an accident caused by a non-starting Hennessy Venom. So I've managed to make up a few positions off the line, even though I did actually stall it. And around the first very tight section, surprise, surprise, it's an online lobby, there's going to be some accidents. Can't see a bloody thing what's going on here because it's a really terrible camera. But I seem to be trying to take avoiding action, and I'm being pushed along the barrier by a Audi R8 that goes across the track and hits the barrier on the other side. There was now two P1s behind me, and I get it wrong going into that corner and hit a Dodge Viper that was already on the grass. An Atom tries to go around the outside and clips me as I regain the track and spins off into the distance. That's what you get for running such a lightweight car. And I'm having some trouble around this track in this car. The car itself seemed pretty nice to drive. I turned up the rear aero to try and give me a bit more traction, but I'm starting to think that may have not been the best idea because there wasn't really much wheel spin at all. We've jumped forward a few corners, and I'm now on the back of yet another P1. There was quite a few of these in this race. But coming down this section, he had a bit of an incident. Fortunately, I wasn't quite close enough behind him to get caught up in it, but I was close enough to capitalise on his mistake and regain another position. So we've gone from literally the back of the grid, starting on the back row anyway and stalling it, and we've now made up quite a few positions. Another Koenigsegg took to the grass, and we gained another position that way, and I gave a P1 a little bump as I slightly outbraked myself. Fortunately, it wasn't a big incident, and we both managed to carry on regardless. Although I wasn't going to let him get away. Give him another little tap, because he seemed to be braking a fair amount earlier than I was into most of the corners. But I think there was another little tap there as well, actually. But I wasn't going to let him hold me up for much longer, as he was running slightly wide out the exit of that corner, so I shoot up the inside and take his position as well. And within literally a corner or two, I've already gained quite a gap on the orange P1. We're going to jump now to a few corners later again and see me chasing down the next car, which is yet another Aston Martin race car. They're also very popular in this class in general, not just in this race. But I seemed to be quite quick around this track. I was sort of starting at the back, and I got through some people at the front at the start of the race when they all crashed. But then I really was just gradually catching people and overtaking them. I got past the Aston Martin there, darting up the inside, and he's already disappeared off screen. There he is, just about in the background. And there's already another Aston Martin in my sights, slightly up the road from me. I'm going to do everything I can to chase him down, although you can't see my car in the trees there. I am there. I would be chasing him down, and I'm really not having to push this car, just driving it and just getting it through the corners. It just seems to make up so much time once I get sort of past about 150, I start accelerating past most other cars, especially the Aston race cars. Maybe not so much the P1s and the Agueras, but they're in a similar vein of me, where they're not quite so fast around the corners. The Aston has a bit of an incident and hits a barrier and comes back on track and goes the other side and hits another barrier. So while he's off track, we managed to take another position. There's not actually that many overtakes that I've really had to do. There's a few that I've gained at the start, like I said, and then I gained some through overtaking cars, but most of the time when I overtook cars it's because they fell off the track and I simply didn't. So we're now going along the big straight, the very long straight, and you can see that the Aston I overtook relatively recently has dropped a long way back. I think I was topping out at about 206 miles an hour, and I hit that very early on in this straight, so I was like bouncing on the rev limiter the whole way along. So I'm thinking slightly longer final gear would have benefited this car. Well, as I get round the final few corners, it's an area that I'm very prone to crashing at, so I'm very happy that I made it round in one piece and around the final corner, and this is where you get to know where I made it up to. I started at the back, I gained up a lot of positions, but how many did I make up? Well, I can tell you that I made it all the way up to, pause for suspense, hey, still pausing, second position. So that's 3 races, once again for the second week running, all on the podium. The 3 races give this car a subtotal of 6 points, which again is the same as the Lotus 11, although I'm not going to mark it quite as highly. So yeah, kind of a spoiler, but it's not going to go top of the table. It had equal performance stats to the Lotus that's top of our leaderboard, but it wasn't as nice to drive, so I'm going to start there. I'm going to give it a 4 because I'm basically looking at the table and it wasn't as nice as the Beamer or the Lotus to drive, but it was nicer than the Aston. So I'm just going to put it in the middle there, and that's basically my entire reasoning. With speed, it's joined a group of cars that I'm going to give a 3. Simply because I just don't think it was good enough around the corners. I mean, it was fantastic around the corners, just if you're driving around and thinking, oh wow, this handles amazingly. But in our class, when you're comparing it with some really racy cars like the GT3 cars, you saw a lot of the Aston Martins especially, and you've also got the old classic Ferrari and McLaren race cars, F1 cars in there. So it was lacking a little bit there, I think. And to finish off this episode, we're going to reveal that this gives it a total of 13 points, which puts it second in our table, just 2 points off the top, and 1 point clear of the Aston in second place. If you're enjoying this series, leave a like, comment if you've got anything to say, and I'll see you for the next one. So Hastings out. Goodbye.